So in this video we are going to be making some Labradorite with some resin and glass cabochons. Let's go! Right, we are back to trying to create natural stones. We're going to try and create Labradorite. I think that's how you say it. And yeah, so for this one I had a lot of inspiration from Lawhand Creations. I'll pop the video in the description box below. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to cheat. I've got loads of these glass cabs lying around, and this is what Lawhand Creations used in their video. But you could cure some 2-part resin in the sizes of the cabochons you want to use, just clear. And once those are cured, you could use any shape from this mould or any other mould to create these. So I've just got an old coaster mould here, and I'm going to try this a few different ways, or a couple of different ways I think. So one way is going to be using just mica powders. So this is from the Let's Resin 36 set, and the colours that I will be using are copper, dark blue and dark green. But I also want to try, for those of you who saw my previous video, some of these colour shifting cat eye nail polishes, just to give a more natural reflection within the stone, hopefully. And the good thing about using these glass cabs is if you do make a mess, which we're probably going to, the resin cleans off really easy from the glass. So the first thing we want to do is just mix up a small amount of the colours that we're going to use. So we're going to need the black first. So we'll mix up some black mica powder first. And you've already seen that I'm doing this with UV resin. I think it could be done with 2-part, but the process is going to be a little bit longer, and you'll see why shortly. So we're just going to mix up this base black mica, not too much, and then with our old mould we are just going to spread that. It will kind of want to gather up, but that's fine. It will want to kind of, the tension, the surface tension is going to bring that into the middle, but just spread it out as best you can. And then we're just going to add a dash, so a small amount of resin of each of the colours that I showed, and then mix those up. And you can see how that's kind of pulled inwards. I'm just going to give that a light torch just to get rid of any bubbles that have risen to the surface. It really doesn't matter that it's looking like that. So now with each of our colours, we're just going to drop into the black that we've put down, like so. So that's what it's going to look like. Nothing really at the moment. Now I'm going to do 2 presses. What I mean by press is we're going to rest our cab onto that resin and then carefully pull it off and flip it upside down. Now I always find, well, I say always find, I've only tried this about 15 minutes ago. But what I found was the second press was actually the better of the 2. So we're going to push that down. You can see that resin spreading out to the edges. Once it's covered the edges, we're just going to lift it off and then flip it upside down, and we're just going to rest it on this mould here, hopefully flat. So with the second one, we're going to go in again over the top of what we've already done, and they've spread differently due to that first one. And again, could be messy, but it's fine because it will clear off just like that. And just make sure they're level as can be. Any bubbles, just pop those and then give them a minute cure. And now what you could do if you wanted to is add more of the colours to what's already down there, and just keep repressing. So back to what's already there, I'm just going to add more black to it because I want to try these nail polishes and see if we get a better effect. So I haven't got the copper colour in the nail polish, so I'm just using some of that I've already mixed up to add to this first. So to that I'm going to add some of this, it's like a bluey purple. I don't want to add too much of it, so I don't want it being too overpowering because it does spread as well. And then to that I'm going to add also the green, which is that code. Again, all the links to everything I'm using are in the description box below. Many of you have probably gone out and bought this nail polish since my last video. Green doesn't look like it's coming off, but it is. I'm only just touching the resin, so any contaminated polish is going to sink down. Right, okay, so once we have that, again, we're just going to repress. Now, I'm going to get my magnet, which comes with the set. Maybe I should have done this part first. No, it's still working. Just like that. Or I could actually lift it off and then do the magnet, which will probably work better. And then we're going to cure that. I might do another one with some more colour because I think that was more over one side than the other. So I've just added more polish to that, and then I'm going to repress and lift off. So if you are doing this with 2-part resin, you just need to make sure that the cabochons, when they're upside down, that they're very level, so they're not going to run to one side, and then you just wait for that curing to happen. So what we have, once they're cured, they look plain from the back, but when you flip them over in the light, this is the one that was just mica powders, and these were ones that I've added the nail polish to. So we now need to scratch these from the back and then apply a black. So for this I've just got my craft knife. Now Lawhand Creations just did it freehand, but I quite like my lines to be straight, so I'm just using this stirring stick. And just be very, very careful. And I'm just scoring the backs. And just to make sure I've gone deep enough and it's going to show through, just go over it again and just push a little bit harder. And what you want to do is just create these scratches all over the back. What you'll also find is when you're scoring the back, when you flip it over, you can see these areas where it's lifted the resin away. Now what you can do if you want, but I find it does add to the effect if you leave it, you can just chip away those looser areas and just clear them off. It's entirely up to you. So once you've done your scoring, you could back coat these with the black. I'm going to cheat and use the black UV gel polish, but I suppose you could use black acrylic paint, or you could use the black resin that you've mixed up with the mica powder. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat over the back of each one. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, thank you very much, and to anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to skip this part. So with this one I've gone in with quite a few different colours. I've gone in with the bluey purple, some of the copper mica, the green, and this colour here, which is that code there. And I've just drizzled it instead of drops. Just be interested. I'm just playing around with lots of different things as I'm kind of filming. I'm going to do a different kind of press on this one as well. Just going to keep disturbing the surface and mix those colours up really well. And then with the magic wand, hopefully we can get some really nice shimmery effects with this one. Okay, you can see I've got quite a few. I think my favourites I've put up there. Now, we did get some which didn't turn out great. Now, you know I said about the kind of cracking that can happen. That is what can happen. The colours are nice. I mean, I've got that cracking in some of these, but you'll see what I mean by it can add to the effect. So these were the two that were the mica powders. And they're not too bad. You can see some of that cracking, but I think it adds to the detail. It looks like cracks within the stones. But I'm not too fond of the mica powder ones in comparison to the others. So this was one where we used, well, most of these actually I used the nail polish, and they react in different lights, in different ways. We could just glue these in. There's a bit more of the cracking on that one. But I definitely think my favourites are up here. There's no point in me keep putting them in the bezel. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment, and if you haven't subbed, hit that button for me. I really like this one. There's less of that cracking. And again, try it with 2-part. It will work. It's no different than having to wait for your resin to cure. Anyway, some bigger cracks in this one. That's where I chipped away that loose stuff. So just play around with it when there's some really cool colours. This one was I actually really like this one. Colours are stunning. It's a really good effect. Bit more cracking on this one. But again, it's not, I don't dislike it, just when it's too much. This is the one that I added lots of colour into. Really nice. Last one. I think this one looks more natural. I went a bit lighter with the scoring on this one. Anyway, that's this video done. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.